The latest developments in Kansas and Missouri. This is Election Day coverage from KMBC 9 News.
I'm here to tell you tonight, we believe we're on track to win this election.
This is an embarrassment to our country. We were getting ready to win this election. Frankly, we did win this election.
Two confident candidates, no final results this morning. We are looking at the key states that could determine the next president of the United States.
And I believe it is our time to preserve freedoms for the next generation. And it is our time to be governor for 4 more years.
An ecstatic state leader spends time surrounded by his supporters. This morning, we have a closer look at the Missouri's governor's race and where Mike Parson is already making plans.
Dry and 70s will take us into the weekend, but rain chances increase for next week. I'm going to show you the rainy days with First Alert Future Scan coming up.
Did you get any sleep? We hope you at least got an hour or two. Thanks for joining us. I'm Cody Holmia.
Yeah, good morning. I'm Donna Pittman. I think a lot of us probably figure out when was the best 2 or 3 hours to get that sleep. Yeah, exactly. Results, of course, coming in quickly in our area in Kansas and Missouri last night. But the biggest race in this election in this nation is still this morning too close to call. Now, in Missouri, President Trump got the win, the margin around 16% this morning. He also did very well in Kansas, boosted by big margins in the western part of the state.
That's where this leaves us right now. We're watching the Electoral College map. Former Vice President Joe Biden leads the race with 238 of the 270 electoral votes they need to win. Both candidates still have paths to victory, though. Biden is telling his supporters to be patient and keep the faith.
And folks, you heard me say it before. Every time I walk out of my grandpa's house up in Scranton, he'd yell, "Joey, keep the faith." And my grandma, when she was alive, yelled, "No, Joey, spread it. Keep the faith, guys. We're going to win this." Thank you, thank you, thank you. Your patience is great.
Now, President Donald Trump is threatening legal action over legitimate vote counting. The president falsely claimed victory overnight, also alleged that there's a plot to make him and his supporters lose.
I want to thank the American people for their tremendous support. Millions and millions of people voted for us tonight. And a very sad group of people is trying to disenfranchise that group of people. And we won't stand for it. We will not stand for it.
Although the numbers are still coming in this morning, according to the Associated Press, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Nevada, Wisconsin, Michigan, Alaska, and North Carolina are all too close to call. We're possibly shaping up to see a repeat of what we saw in 2016 when narrow wins in Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin gave Trump the presidency. But we will continue to watch those this morning as they ebb and flow. Now, the count continues in some swing states right now.
Yeah, KMBC 9's Rob Hughes watching this morning, and you have brand new information from the newsroom, Rob.
Yes, Cody and Donna, good morning to you. Yeah, the counting continues in Michigan, and the race there is getting much closer. Now, the state's processing advanced ballots, and Joe Biden has cut President Trump's lead to a little more than 12,000 ballots. Now, many of those outstanding ballots are in areas where Biden has performed well. Right now, 90% of precincts have reported so far. Michigan holds 16 electoral votes. Of course, we're going to be keeping a close eye on this race. We've also learned we're going to have to wait a while to find out the results in Nevada. The state election board there says it will not announce any new results until Thursday morning. Former Vice President Biden does have a small lead in that state. Rob Hughes, KBC 9 News.
Okay, Rob, thank you. Well, Governor Mike Parson secures his second term as Missouri's governor, beating State Auditor Nicole Galloway. The governor watched the numbers roll in last night in Springfield, surrounded by family and a room full of supporters. He already has plans for this week. KMBC 9's Kelly Eckerman shows us what's next.
Governor Mike Parson has now been elected to his first full term as governor. His supporters came in confident, and they got the victory they were hoping for. Parson knew just what to say to them at the end of the night.
I believe it is our time to protect the Constitution. I believe it is our time to preserve the American dream. And I believe it is our time to preserve freedoms for the next generation. And it is our time to be governor for 4 more years.
Next on the agenda, the governor has already called a special session for Thursday to make some budget adjustments, and that will include allocating some federal funding that's become available because of the COVID-19 relief bill. In Springfield, Kelly Eckerman, KMBC 9 News.
During the governor's acceptance speech, opponent, State Auditor Nicole Galloway, took the podium in Columbia. Her campaign decided not to allow visitors inside, only members of the media and her family. She watched the results privately, and we didn't see her until the race was called. She says her fight for Missourians isn't over.
From the barber in Kansas City, the women in St. Louis who turned a big idea into a small business, to the little girl in Maryville who told me she'd be president one day, I will carry your stories with me, and I will keep fighting for you.
Galloway's term as state auditor continues until January 2023.
Incumbent Mike Kehoe will join Governor Parson as Missouri's lieutenant governor. He beat Alicia candidate with 58% of the vote. Now, Republican John Ashcroft continues as Secretary of State with 61% of the vote. His challenger, Yinka Folletti, was running for his first political office.
6:35 right now. The two statues of former President Andrew Jackson will stay put outside two local county courthouses.
Voters in Jackson County, Missouri, voted no to question 2 by 65%. Now, those statues, they are outside the Jackson County Courthouse downtown in Kansas City, Missouri, also the historic Truman Courthouse on the square there in Independence. Jackson was a well-known slave owner. He is also the county's namesake.
6:35 as we check back in with First Alert meteorologist Nick Bender. Certainly a winning forecast and a winning sunrise.
It is. I was just adjusting our Capitol Federal City View cam there in the plaza to give you a better view of this beautiful sunrise here. Wow. We're going to get a lot of pictures. I hope you do share them before you head off your day. 55 degrees with a south breeze at 14 miles per hour. It's a mild morning by November standards. A bit of a chill. Probably going to need a jacket, but not that big, heavy coat, especially with a 12-hour forecast like this. We will have more clouds built in through the afternoon. Those will be mid and high level clouds. So hopefully looking for just as vibrant as a sunset as a sunrise today. 60s here by lunchtime and climbing up to 72 degrees this afternoon. Even with the clouds, because it'll be just so windy today, we'll likely have a lot of 70s for all of our Kansas and Missouri communities. Maybe the best eyes to see this sunrise is up in News Chopper 9 with Johnny Rollins.
Pretty cool sharing the sky with that sunrise this morning. Not going to be able to give you a look from News Chopper 9 on this one, but we will next time. Wanted to show you 470 here, the westbound run coming out of the triangle. You see those marks on the highway there? It's where we had a car fire a little while ago, and it was really blazing away at one point. Firefighters took care of it, and they have since moved that car. So that ramp was pretty slow coming out of the triangle to westbound eastbound. I think I said westbound. It's eastbound 470. This is the westbound run headed on over to 435, and that is looking good. And again, eastbound around that car fire is no longer showing any kind of a delay and looking great through there as well. Johnny Rollins, News Chopper 9, back to you in the studio.
Good to see you, Johnny. Let's get back to our Commitment 2020 coverage. Missouri voters approve Amendment 3, which directs how the state redraws its legislative districts, and they did that by a slim margin, 51 to 49%. Couldn't be much closer. KMBC 9's Martin Augustine joins us live to walk us through what this means moving forward. Martin.
Well, the approval of Amendment 3, Cody, repeals an amendment that voters approved back in 2018 regarding how the state should draw up its state house and congressional districts. So the passage of Amendment 3 will simply change how those maps will be drawn compared to the measure approved 2 years ago, bringing back a bipartisan commission appointed by the governor to study and propose the potential redistricting instead of a nonpartisan demographer. Now, this is all relevant now as legislative boundaries will be reconfigured next year using information from the 2020 census. Amendment 3 also included some changes in contribution limits to state Senate campaigns and to lobbyist gifts. Reporting live, Martin Augustine, KMBC 9 News.
Okay, Martin, thank you. Well, preliminary results show Republican Roger Marshall secured an important Senate seat defending Dr. Barbara Boullier. KMBC 9's Emily Holwick brings us inside Marshall's victory celebration in Topeka.
An emphatic crowd here in Topeka as Dr. Roger Marshall declared victory in the race for the U.S. Senate. A Republican has held that seat for more than 80 years, and it will stay that way for the upcoming term. The night started out in favor of Dr. Barbara Boyer, but as more districts from western Kansas came in, it was clear Dr. Marshall was holding on to the lead. In his victory speech, he said he'll represent all Kansans, regardless of political party. He talked about overcoming the coronavirus pandemic as a state and as a nation, working together. He vowed to Kansans, we will fight for you every day and emerge stronger. He congratulated his opponent on a well-run campaign and said that he received a gracious phone call from Dr. Boyer conceding the race. He got emotional while thanking his supporters.
But I want to start by thanking the people who voted for us, who elected us, who placed their confidence, their faith, and trust in Lena and myself and our family to represent you.
Marshall asked, will this be the year we put aside our political differences for the health and safety of our country? He said, as for me, my family, and my team, we've just begun the fight. Dr. Roger Marshall is going to the U.S. Senate. Reporting in Topeka, Emily Hallwick, KMBC 9 News.
Kansas Democrat Barbara Boyer says she has no regrets about the way she ran her U.S. Senate campaign.
Last night, her setup admittedly looked much different than what you just saw in Topeka. Boyer conceded the race over at the Overland Park Convention Center. She renounced divisive politics in the Sunflower State and told staffers they ran a spirited and scrappy campaign that exceeded expectations. Control of the new Congress, though, is still up in the air this morning. So let's take a closer look at the balance of power on Capitol Hill.
So 6 races have yet to be called for the U.S. Senate. Either party could still come out on top. Democrats picked up a seat in Colorado, but Republicans won back a seat in Alabama. So that leaves Democrats where they started the day, needing to pick up at least 3 seats in order to control the Senate. Democrats are on their way to keeping the House of Representatives. 218 seats are needed to hold a majority in the next session.
Covering Kansas, it looks like Democrat Sharice Davids will hold on to her seat in Congress. She kept her celebrations virtual because of the pandemic.
Yeah, KMBC 9's Matt Evans is live this morning following this at the Johnson County Election Office. Hi, Matt.
Good morning, Donna. Here in Johnson County, no surprises. Wasn't a very long night either due to the record number of advanced voting. The final unofficial votes were tallied here in Johnson County by 8-12 last night. Of course, Johnson County squarely in the middle of the Kansas 3rd Congressional District. Of course, the 3rd also includes Wyandotte County and a part of Miami County. Congresswoman Sharice Davids, who ousted longtime Republican Representative Kevin Yoder in 2018, won a second term over challenger Amanda Atkins by a 9-point margin, 53-44. In her victory speech last night, she said she's looking forward to the challenges that lie ahead and is proud of her Democratic colleagues that stepped up to run this election, and saying their work is far from over in Kansas.
For as long as I am here, we are going to fight for every single seat across this state.
Davis becomes the first Democratic representative from the 3rd to earn multiple terms. The last Democratic representative to do that was Dennis Moore, who served for 12 years from 1999 to 2011 in the Kansas 3rd Congressional District. Live in Olathe this morning, Matt Evans, KMBC 9 News.
Okay, Matt, thank you. Well, Kansas, the state treasurer, is moving to Washington.
The numbers show Republican Jake LaTurner is headed to the U.S. House. Here are the numbers this morning. LaTurner defeated Topeka Mayor Michelle De La Isla with 56% of the vote. In Missouri's 5th District, Congressman Emanuel Cleaver will continue serving on Capitol Hill. This will be Cleaver's 9th term in Congress. Voters in Kansas have decided a long-standing local liquor law, it's a tongue twister, is out of date.
And this morning, we'll explain the impact the decision could actually have if you live in Johnson County.
Too early to call. President Trump and Joe Biden still in a tight race for electoral votes. I'm ABC's Faith Abube in Washington with the latest on the presidential race just ahead.
I'll show you how long our 70-degree days will stretch before rain and much colder air spills in on the First Alert 9-day forecast. That's coming up.
More Commitment 2020 coverage at KMBC.com. KMBC 9 News, leading the way.
6:45, and we have an absolutely beautiful sunrise here in our Capital Federal City View cam in the plaza on a chilly but not super cold morning. So you might be able to get away with just a lighter jacket for today, especially for this afternoon as we climb into the 70s again. Something else you'll notice building through the day will be the wind. It'll be a windy day, gusts possibly up to 30 miles per hour. The clouds do clear out overnight, and that'll set us up for a sunny stretch of weather heading into the weekend. Let's go to News Shopper 9's Johnny Rollins.
Boy, Nick, I could not pass this up. Take a look. The sun just coming up over the horizon now on the far east side here as we see, of course, this gorgeous sunrise, and we have it really zoomed in there. So now you're going to see the clouds come into view as well. And we can only do this because traffic is so good this morning. We don't really have any issues to worry about or to show you. We are going to take a peek, though, at the 435 run coming over here from the Missouri to the Kansas side. And as you can see, rounding the corner over here by Warnell, Holmes, and on over to a State Line, doing great right now. Just not seeing anything in the way of any problems coming out of the triangle all the way to the Kansas side. Johnny Rollins, News Chopper 9, back to you in the studio.
Good to see that and that Lion King sunrise, Johnny. Thank you. 5 top administrators with the Clay County government announced their resignations. This was in an unsigned release from the county. Clay County Commissioners Gene Owen and Luann Ridgway approved settlement and even severance agreements for 5 employees, including 3 of the county's top administrators, Nicole Brown, Brad Garrett, and Lori Portwood. Presiding Commissioner Jerry Nolte tells KMBC 9 News he voted against the agreements, specifically says because Portwood accused him of pervasive harassment in her settlement, and Brown accused him of pervasive sexual harassment and gender discrimination. News of the resignations come after years of controversy, an ongoing state audit, and several investigations by KMBC 9 News into the practices of administration and elected officials. Johnson County, Kansas voters remove a long-standing liquor law. It's from the 1980s, requiring restaurants, bars, and breweries to make at least 30% of their sales from food to be able to sell individual alcoholic drinks. County is the last major metro area in Kansas to repeal that law.
Well, in the presidential race, we're still waiting. It's still too early to determine who will win the White House. Both President Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden picked up major wins overnight, but neither is close to the critical 270 electoral votes. Getting there, but not there yet. ABC's Faith Abube has more from Washington.
Overnight, former Vice President Joe Biden in Wilmington, Delaware, energizing a car rally of supporters.
We believe we're on track to win this election.
Biden so far performing as expected as the vote counts roll in across the country.
And it ain't over till every vote is counted. Every ballot is counted. But we're feeling good. We're feeling good about where we are.
The former vice president boosted by wins in traditional Democratic strongholds and the Pacific West Coast, taking California, Oregon, and Washington. And in a surprise outcome, Biden now leading in Arizona.
The state of Florida and his 29 electoral votes will go to Donald Trump.
Trump winning the biggest prize so far, taking all of Florida's 29 electoral votes and performing well in rural areas. But as votes are still being counted, Trump in an early morning speech falsely claiming he won the race.
This is a fraud on the American public. Frankly, we did win this election.
The president also heading to social media and Twitter slapping a warning label on his tweet after he wrote in part, "We're up big, but they're trying to steal the election." Right now, the cliffhanger appears to be in the Rust Belt states of Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin, key battlegrounds that could decide who wins the White House. Wisconsin officials telling ABC News they expect statewide results as early as today. With votes cast and nothing else to help the race, thousands of anxious voters gathering in D.C.'s Black Lives Matter Plaza as the nation waits for final results.
Now, so far, it appears that younger people didn't turn out to vote as expected. National exit polls suggested that 18 to 29-year-olds made up the same percentage of the electorate as they did 4 years ago, back in 2016. Now, in President Trump's 2016 win, seniors were the most reliable voting bloc in the country. They were key to his come-from-behind victory.
Yeah, you fast forward 4 years, several polls show seniors actually prefer for the other candidate, former VP Joe Biden. In 2016, the president won the senior vote by 9 points. This time around, one poll had Biden leading among seniors by 27 points.
The Republican Party left me. Once I saw what Trump was doing, I could no longer support him.
I think people are taking the opinion that they have the smarts to make a decision on what they want to do in order to protect their health. So I think the president has done a good job in that regard.
Census records show more than 70% of seniors voted in the last election. That is more than any other age group we're seeing. Yesterday, many people filed into Arrowhead to vote in style on the stadium's club level. It's a pretty neat setup. Anybody who voted at the stadium received a special Chiefs-branded I voted sticker that they'll probably keep in the family for a while here. Some voters we talked to say the entire process took about 10 minutes, and they know the impact their vote can have.
You do it because you can. If you do nothing, then you have nothing to worry about, and you have to accept whatever's done to you. If you do what you can, then that you've done the most.
Chiefs President Mark Donovan says the polling location operated under the same health protocols that the Chiefs use on game day, so they kept everybody safe. We even saw head coach Andy Reid there making his voice heard.
I think that seems like an appropriate place for him to cast a ballot.
That's right. It's his home.
Sticker. What a neat sticker. I don't know if you wear that or if you then you put it back on the paper and then keep it for later. That's just awesome. Something else awesome. I mean, how about looks like a Chiefs sunrise here. We got a lot of red in the sky, scattered clouds and sunshine right now. Look at our capital federal city view cam. It's 55. It's a mild morning. It's a bit of a chill in there. You might be able to get away with a lighter jacket as opposed to that big heavy coat. We're in the 50s, and it only goes up today along with the wind. It'll get windier. Wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour as we warm to 72 degrees with more clouds building through the day, but they're all mid and high level clouds, so hopefully we allow a little bit of sunshine in there and a beautiful sunset to go with our sunrise. High temperatures for most of our Kansas and Missouri communities, well into the 70s for today. And you know what, y'all? We got the 70s going all the way in to the weekend. I do want to give you a quick update on Tropical Storm Eta. It made landfall yesterday as a Category 4 hurricane in Nicaragua and is now going to move up over the Caribbean Sea again, over Cuba, and toward Florida as a tropical storm sometime late this weekend or early next week. So we're not done yet with the tropical season here in the United States. I want to show you when we're going to see some rain here in Kansas and Missouri on your First Alert 9-day forecast coming up.
Happening right now, votes are still being counted in the race for the White House. Both candidates are still shy of the 270 electoral votes needed to win the election. Next, Good Morning America takes a closer look at the latest results and what we should expect moving forward.
And locally, votes are in. Several big races have been called, including Missouri Governor Mike Parson keeping his seat. On the Kansas side, Dr. Roger Marshall edging out Democratic candidate Dr. Barbara Bollier for the Kansas Senate seat left by retiring Senator Pat Roberts. We will have a closer look at all the local elections, also how they will impact you now as First News continues on KCWE this morning. Johnny?
All right, great rush hour underway right now. We're not seeing any problems out here. Southbound I-35, though, already jamming up since we came off daylight savings time. This has become the daily routine here for the last few days. Southbound down to the Overland Parkway construction. Johnny Rollins, News Chopper 9, back to you in the studio.
Johnny's beautiful sunrise. We'll have more clouds through the day, but we got a 70-degree day today, and we've in the sunshine again for Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We'll hold with highs in the 70s. First Alert meteorologist Katie Horn is going to let you know when the rain will fall next week with Future Scan coming up on KCWE.
A beautiful day as we all wait for answers to maybe get out, take a walk, ride a bike.
Do all of it.
Get away from it, yeah.
That's right. GMA is next. First News continues over on KCWE. It's where our continued Commitment 2020 coverage will be. We'll see you tomorrow.